piece of cookie. Hello, welcome to today's baking video. Today we're gonna make some apple cookies. So for the recipe you need apples, cinnamon, a pinch of salt, nutmeg, baking powder, flour, vanilla, butter, sugar, oats, and a little bit of milk. Don't forget all of your tools, your measuring cups, your baking tray, your spoon and spatula, and your mixing bowls. Let's get started. So first, you're gonna wash your hands and wash your apple. I think we'll only need one for this recipe, but I have two here just in case. And we're gonna prepare the apples by peeling and chopping them up really tiny. You might need a grown-up's help for this part. Make sure you cut your apple pieces nice and small so that they bake all the way through when they go in the cookies in the oven. So now we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. 1 cup of quick oats and 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. Baking powder. One and a half teaspoons. The same of cinnamon. One and a half teaspoons. My cinnamon. Oh, there's a big jug. And 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, just a teeny amount. And the same amount of salt. We're going to mix that all together. You could do this with your hands if you wanted to feel the texture, or use a whisk or a spoon or a spatula. Then we're going to set that aside. On to the wet ingredients. Okay, so we're going to mix in the sugar with the wet ingredients. So 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, a tablespoon and a half of melted butter. Not too hot though. We don't want to cook the egg. This is where it's nice to have a spatula to get all the butter out of your dish that you melted it in. We'll mix that first before we mix the egg in. Now we're gonna just use the egg white. If you don't know how to do this, maybe get a grown-up to show you, or there's a special tool you can use for this as well. If you use your hands like I like to do, make sure you wash your hands afterwards. Okay, so we've got our egg white and our 5 tablespoons of milk in there, and we're just going to mix all this together with the brown sugar and butter mixture. We'll do this for a little while so it's not too lumpy. Okay, now we're gonna gradually add in the dry mixture. So I'm just gonna add half for now, stir it up, and then I'll add the other half in a bit. Again, if you want, you can use your hands or a spoon or a spatula to stir. All right, now I'm gonna add in the other half. Make sure you mix in all the dry ingredients evenly. Now we're going to add the apple. So we're just gonna gently mix the apple in so we're not squishing the apple too much. Don't be too rough with this. And this was only about a half of an apple. There we go. So now we're gonna let that cool in the refrigerator for 20 minutes or longer if you want. While you're waiting for the dough to cool in the fridge, you can preheat the oven and get your baking tray ready with parchment paper. You're gonna need a spoon and a spatula to form the cookies. Now these cookies don't flatten out in the oven, so you're going to want to make sure that you do use the back of your spoon or your spatula just to flatten them out a little bit on the baking tray. This is tricky. Maybe I should have let it cool in the fridge a little bit longer before trying to form my cookies. Okay, so those go in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. So these were in the oven for about 14 minutes, and you don't want them to be overcooked because they're meant to be nice and chewy. I'm gonna let them cool for 5 minutes and then I'll give them a taste test. After 3 to 5 minutes, you can move them onto a cooling rack to dry further and enjoy. So delicious.